Closing arguments were delivered in Stephen Pankey's second murder trial. Pankey is accused of kidnapping 12-year-old Janelle Matthews from her Greeley home in 1984, then shooting her.
In Pankey's first trial last year, a jury could not reach a verdict. Prosecutors are now trying him again. 9 News Crime and Justice reporter Matt Jablow is live outside the courthouse in Greeley tonight. So, Matt, how long has the jury been deliberating at this point?
About 4 hours, Jenny. They started right around 1 o'clock this afternoon after about 3 hours of closing arguments. And so far, no verdict.
Greeley lost some of its innocence when he kidnapped and murdered Janelle Matthews.
A master manipulator who murdered a 12-year-old girl in cold blood. That's how prosecutors described Stephen Pankey during their hour-long closing argument. Pankey's on trial for killing Janelle Matthews and then burying her body in a remote field in Weld County in 1984. Janelle's remains were finally found 37 years later in July of 2019 by oil workers digging in that field.
Janelle was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he kidnapped and murdered her.
According to prosecutors, Pankey killed Janelle to get back at a local church that excommunicated Pankey a few years before. Janelle's father was a board member of the church.
The defendant hated everyone in a position of power with Sunnyview Church of the Nazarene.
During the trial, prosecutors pointed to the numerous statements Pankey made to police and prosecutors over the years, that he knew where Janelle's body was located and that he would help solve the crime in exchange for immunity.
We are asking that you find him not guilty.
But during her closing argument, Pankey's lawyer said Pankey's statements to police and prosecutors were false and that Pankey offered them simply to get attention. Describing her client as socially awkward and, quote, a little different, she said Pankey had nothing to do with Janelle Matthews' murder and that there is absolutely no physical evidence to prove otherwise.
How can an innocent person get convicted? How does that even happen? This case, this prosecution, that's how it could happen. When there is no physical evidence that Steve Pankey was ever at the scene of the crime.
If convicted of the top count of first-degree murder, Stephen Pankey would face life in prison. We'll be keeping an eye on the jury deliberations. Jenny, Alex.
All right, we'll be waiting patiently, Matt. Thank you.
Tonight, 9 News hosts its final debate leading up to the election, the competition tonight for U.S. Senate. Incumbent Democratic Senator Michael Bennet, his Republican challenger, Joe O'Dea. And these two debate tonight, 7 o'clock in Fort Collins at Colorado State University.
Kyle Clark is there with a preview for us. We've been waiting for this one, Kyle. What can we expect?
Well, you know, Alex, I think that the general thought on this race from both the Bennet camp and the O'Dea camp is that Bennet has a lead, whether it's slight or a little bit more substantial, but it's his race to lose at this point. And this is their only statewide televised debate that they both agreed to do. So if Joe O'Dea is going to move the race in a significant way, this is one of the last opportunities that he has to do so. They have had some public forums where they have appeared together, but those have been pretty staid affairs. And I think there's a better chance tonight that we see some sharper contrast between these two men who disagree on a whole host of issues, from the way that the government should be involved in the economy, to abortion, to immigration policy. And this is the opportunity really for the O'Dea camp to lay out some of those sharp differences for voters, whereas for the Bennet camp, they're probably looking to come out of here with just sewing up the voters that they already have. Obviously, he has more familiarity with voters, having been in office for the last 13 years. If Bennet is reelected and serves another 6-year term, because of the 2 years that he had as an appointment at the beginning, he would be the longest serving senator in Colorado history, which is really pretty remarkable when you consider the fact that for somebody who has been in public office in Colorado for so long, he does not have a very high profile. He'll say it's because he likes to collaborate behind the scenes, and that's just how he operates. We're likely to hear Mr. O'Dea say tonight that the actual issue is that Mr. Bennet is ineffective, Senator Bennet.
I'm curious, Kyle, what do you think is the one thing that the lesser-known O'Dea can say to just like hit it out of the park and move that needle?
Well, I think at the end of the day, Republicans like Joe O'Dea want to make this race about the state of the economy and Americans' unsettled feeling about their future and inflation and crime. And those are the things that he's going to want to talk about. Now, he's going to run into trouble on that because Senator Bennet has things that he's done on all of those issues. Mr. O'Day is likely to say tonight that he hasn't done enough, or he has the wrong priorities, or that Mr. O'Day has other things that he would like to do in office. But if the conversation tonight ends up centered around those issues, the economy and crime and perhaps immigration, that's where O'Day wants it to be.
All right, Kyle, thank you. We'll be watching tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on 9 News.
Let's take a live look now over, I'm not sure exactly where we're looking, but it sure is a beautiful look over the mountains on a pretty nice fall afternoon in Colorado. Chris Bianchi joins us to kind of walk us through our forecast for the weekend. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Jenny. Hey, Alex. I'm going to show you something that I think is kind of cool, but admittedly, I'm a nerd. But let's take a look at this here on the satellite picture. What you're seeing here into the high country, right? Looks like there's some cloud cover there. That's not cloud cover. What that is all that fresh snowfall that we got. And a closer look in here. Watch here for a quick second. You see how all that snow on the Palmer Divide appears to be there, and then now it's not. That is the snow melting on off under those 60-plus degree temperatures that we've had today. Again, I think that's cool. Hopefully you do at home as well. If not, don't worry. We'll get to the actual forecast here. Right now, temperatures for us across eastern Colorado, 62 for us here in Denver. Absolutely beautiful out there. We did drop down to about 30 degrees overnight, so we've rebounded quite nicely. Even into the high country, a lot of 40s and 50s. That is certainly helping melt off some of that snow that we picked up overnight. Now, this is a little depressing, but this is our second to last 6 p.m. sunset of the year. And by the way, 9 days from now, after daylight savings, yeah, we're going to be talking about those sunsets here in Denver before 5 o'clock in just 9 days. Really, that's a little bit depressing. But temperatures tonight, this is pretty seasonable stuff for us. 20s, 30s, eastern plains, teens, and 20s on up into the mountains. Now, tomorrow, I think the story will be some increasing cloud cover, especially during the afternoon and especially in the high country. Temperatures pretty similar to today. Low 60s, which is seasonable for us once again for our day tomorrow. But next week, we could be talking about perhaps some more rain and some more snow. So, Jenny and Alex, while we're probably dry through the upcoming weekend, next week could be a bit more active.
Okay.
All right, we want that detailed Halloween trick-or-treating forecast coming up, too.
Got that for you.
Very important.
Thank you.
Well, within a week, a birth center in Thornton will close, and families are pretty frustrated that they will be losing what they call a community center and options for delivery.
9 News reporter Angeline McCall spoke with one of the mothers who relied on this center for her care.
Hey, at this checkup, both mom and baby are doing well.
Any problems that have developed?
No. Of her 3 children, Narissa Wilburn says this was by far the best delivery experience at Seasons Midwifery and Birth Center in Thornton.
What'd you like about your birth?
That I was able to have my cultural wants respected, and the midwife was so amazing.
Narissa wanted her traditions honored as an Indigenous woman.
So it was like creating a sacred space with everybody who was involved. I felt very special. I felt very safe, being able to do the things that I was taught to help bring my child into the world.
Seasons gave her that space and reassurance.
And they understand the mortality rate too of women of color, and that I could see that care that they have come through how they worked with us.
Mortality rates can be almost 3 times higher for women of color than for their white counterparts, according to the CDC. That's why many turn to non-traditional methods like Seasons, hoping for better outcomes.
Take that away, what happens to the community, right? They've lost a resource.
Heather Prestridge with Seasons worries about mothers who will have fewer options when the center closes on November 4th.
It belongs to the community and to the people that come here. It's a place that they can come and be seen and heard.
It affects everybody. We deserve to have options.
New ownership is planning to shut them down for not making enough profit, even when families feel it's so needed.
I wanted to cry. I wanted to cry for the women who were planning on doing this.
The community is working to step up to keep this center, and nonprofit Elephant Circle hopes to transform it into a nonprofit midwifery center. However, when or what that will look like and how many families they could take on is still really uncertain at this time.
Yeah, the closing of this one, pretty concerning when you look at mortality rates, especially with women of color after having birth. I mean, we need these centers.
Yeah, not only that, but this is also a center that would accept Medicaid, for instance. And so some families who would be considered low income, this is their only option to have a birth that would be non-traditional and outside of a hospital as well.
And people's choice of how they have birth, how they give birth, that's such a personal choice. That's such a special thing for someone to choose. So, Angeline, thank you for covering this.
Hey, we continue to count down for the big game Sunday morning in London.
Rod Mackey, Mike Kliss, they are there. Let's check in and see what they've been up to.
We have breaking Broncos news here from London, and it's good news concerning the quarterback, Mike.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's going to go. Nathaniel Hackett confirmed what we've been saying all week, that Russell Wilson was going. Thought there would be some consideration that there's a bye week next week. Those hammies being tricky. Give him a full 3 weeks with the bye to rest him up and have him be real good in the second half. But that's not how Russell Wilson. He didn't even want to sit out last week when he was barely able to walk.
Yeah, like you asked Hackett about that.
Yeah.
He was funny about it. Said, yeah, Russ wasn't a big fan of that topic.
No.
Hey, speaking of fans, there were about 100 of them, youngsters from all over London today for a Play 60 event, and boy, did the Broncos have a ball.
Out here in London, man, at the Harrow School, where Harry Potter was filmed, doing an NFL Play 360. Nice job, dude! That's what I'm talking about.
Hearing them, you know, scream about how much they love the game and the different teams that they like, and obviously a lot of the kids love Russ, and so it's so much fun being out here and just enjoying the day with the kids.
Boom, put across your sternum.
And the game is growing so fast, you know. It's, and I'm chairman for NFL Flag, and just to see how fast the game has grown. And I always come to London every year, and it always means a lot to me to hang out with the kids.
All right, we're ready, we're ready. Yeah. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. Oh my goodness! Oh, get up! Yeah. Let's go, let's go! Nice! 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 Nice!
You never know who you're inspiring and where you're inspiring them from, and so to just be out here and to give some of these kids your time and attention, I think they really look up to that, and so it's a lot of fun for us to be able to do it.
It's a fun experience, and Broncos is the best team in the world. Go Broncos!
Good accents, good times, man. Giving back to the community, even in another country. That's what it's all about.
When you're a young kid, you always dream about playing, in the National Football League, but now we get to, play in front of everybody and also give back and teach these kids how to play the game.
That's a win for Yellows! That's a win for Yellows!
Broncos on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Broncos! Good job, guys.
I'll be honest with you. I watched a lot of those Broncos walk down there, and they were, kind of jogging down. They were exhausted afterwards. They were working hard with those youngsters, including Russell, Dalton, Justin Simmons.
Yeah.
They were all there.
What struck me is that these guys do play a kid's game after all. Sports is for kids, and these guys still have our kids at heart.
Yep.
Justin Simmons feigning like he got knocked over. They have a lot of fun. They still know how to play. It was a fun event.
Quinn Miners tossing the ball to some of the kids. Some of the Broncos started to try to jump onto that pin. I'm like, don't get hurt. That's not enough injuries with this team.
Yeah.
Don't anyone get hurt. That would be a bad thing. Mike, thank you so much. Guys, we will send it back to you.